55 minutes before 1 o'clock, 87 degrees in Beaver Dam at your hometown station, 95.3 WBEV. We head over to the Daily Dodge TV studio for today's community comment. And joining us now is Kevin Haugen.
Well, thank you very much and good afternoon. Welcome into today's community comment. I'm your host, Kevin Haugen. It's my pleasure to welcome in our guests this afternoon on the program this afternoon, Beaver Dam City Administrator Nathan Thiel. Nathan, thank you so much for coming in.
Always a pleasure, Kevin. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, and it's been a little bit since at least since I last had an opportunity to interview you. Was on paternity leave the last time you were in, so missed our last opportunity.
Yeah, congratulations, by the way.
A bit of a
Happy
change.
Father's Day.
Yeah, same to you as well. Thank you. Yeah, it's been a big change since we last had the opportunity to talk, and also a little bit of changing updates with potential leadership with the city of Beaver Dam. But before we get into that, if we do have anyone out there who has a call or a question for the Beaver Dam City Administrator, you can call in at 887-9595. You can call or text that line, or 885-4446 if you have a question for the City Administrator today on Community Comment. And don't forget, too, we're also streaming on Daily Dodge TV. So if you wanted to watch us instead of listen to us, you can head there and check us out on the Daily Dodge TV tab on dailydodge.com. But
and I apologize already. I was always told I had a better radio voice than a face.
I'm in the same boat. I'm exactly the same way. I'm more suited for radio than television. Yeah. So much more suited for that medium than TV. But as we had mentioned just briefly before talking about the lines you can call in if you have any questions, changing potentially new leadership at the City of Beaver Dam. I know it was a couple of months ago, former Beaver Dam Mayor Becky Gluen announced she's stepping away to take a job in Trempealeau County. Then at the time, the council president, Mike Wassell, was named interim mayor. And now, in the months since then, there has been interest from a couple of the alderpersons who are looking to run in the November election. But just give us a little bit update on where things are at right now.
Yeah, so I guess not those that are familiar with the process, we've talked about it in the past, but things have just kind of solidified or congealed a bit in the sense that there will be a November election. And we've had two individuals who have put in their candidacy. And so those two individuals are Jack Yatz and Bobby Mark, or Roberta Mark. Both have been on the council for a bit of time now, and should do a good job. So it's always exciting, an election, and we're excited to see the outcome of the election. And things are good.
Yeah, and so please correct me if I'm wrong. So whoever does win that November vote would fill the remainder of Mayor Gluen's original term, which I believe was going to be due up in April of 2026. Is that correct?
Yes, April of 2026. That's exactly right. And at the council, there were a lot of conversations of how to fill in the remainder of that term. There were a variety of options. They could have appointed someone. The council, but the council ultimately felt it important for the community to have say in who would be the next mayor, and we're just fortunate that two older persons and individuals stepped up. One of the things that they had commented was we didn't want to just have one person appointed, and if we would have just had an election with just one individual on the ballot, that also wouldn't have given much opportunity for the community to make a decision. So it's good. It's good that I think the council wanted to make sure that the community had an opportunity to have a voice at the table.
And that'll be the November 5th of election, I believe, the part of the presidential vote, a big time that'll be here in the city of Beaver Dam. I'm sure we'll have an opportunity before then to sit down here on this program with the two candidates, Jack Yudds and Roberta Mark, here to talk about just some of the interest they have in being mayor, and just some of the thoughts and ideas they have. And essentially they would need to, again, whoever would be elected would have to run again then in that spring election in 2026 if they wanted to continue.
Yeah, if they wanted to continue. Yeah, correct.
Gotcha.
Correct.
Again, we're chatting with Beaver Dam's City Administrator, Nathan Thiel. If you have a question for the administrator, you can call 885-4446 or text 887-9595 during our program this afternoon. Also, last time, at least I had the last time you were on with myself here on Community Comment, we talked a little bit about the transit study, which has been ongoing now for a couple of months. Got started, I believe, in January or February this year. It's been kind of ongoing last couple of months, and just recently had was it presented to the council? Is that coming up here, I believe, in the next week or so?
Yeah, great question. So we did kind of the study has gotten to the point where they were able to compile the data and show the council, give them kind of an update on the comments that came back from the community. We had a survey, about 400 individuals plus responded to that survey. So thank you to the community for your support in that regard. We were able to meet with several stakeholders, individuals that definitely have interest in mass transit in our community, whether it be the business folks or community gathering spots, healthcare, etc. And so we were able to, the SRF, our consultant, was able to present that information to the council and just give them kind of a little bit of a heads up and walk them through kind of the next process. So at our next council meeting, not tonight, but the first meeting in July, they plan to come back and basically present some recommendations and show kind of the different options, the alternatives that that the city could go. So they were evaluating a fixed route. They were evaluating what's called a flex route, where there's a bus that kind of has a route but can kind of go off course. And then also a microtransit, which is kind of an elevated or a system that uses apps and technology to elevate the ability to respond and attend to individuals that are asking for a ride.
And once the presentation is given, it's really just sort of to work as a guide for the council, you could say, in terms of looking long term. And we'll talk a little bit also here in a minute about the city's comprehensive plan and how this kind of plays a role into that. But essentially this is just to serve as sort of a guide in terms of what the city residents really need for transportation services and what's lacking or where there's holes that need to be filled, essentially.
Yeah, so right now we've assessed kind of what the current demand is. It's hard to assess specifically what the demand could be if we were to change. Like it's one thing to compare, taxi service, a shared ride taxi to another shared ride taxi, especially if you've got another community that you can look at. As far as a fixed route, we don't quite know what the fixed route would look like. Like how many people would choose to do the fixed route over using the current system. So there's a little bit of nuance to what was being presented or what has been presented, but to the best of our recommendations, or technically the consultant's recommendations, they're going to bring some guidance or some thought processes, and that will really set the stage for the council. Will have some options to choose from, like what they'll want to do as far as changes to the system. So they'll then be able to create a plan. We'll be able to then basically create a plan that we can take to DOT and then implement a new program. So jury's still out. There's still going to be quite a bit of discussion, and all things are monetary, right? The ability to pay for it is going to be a critical question.
Yeah, and I know a big part of this too is getting that community feedback. You mentioned the survey. Over 400 people here in the community responded to that, and that's such a huge component to putting these plans together and deciding kind of what's the best route to go, because you don't want to do something that's not going to serve the best interests of the people of the community. And getting that feedback, I'm sure, have you had a chance yet to look at that feedback yet, or is that part of the whole?
That was, so the last council meeting, the SRF, they presented and they shared the feedback. They didn't share everything with council because there was only so much time, but I've seen the drafts of their kind of the compilation of data.
Is there anything of note or interest that took you by surprise, or?
Well, one thing that has come out strong is that there is a strong case for a fixed route. That the destinations of pickup and drop off have really trended strongly on that Madison Spring Street corridor, and so that was fairly strong. That was surprising to me. It wasn't shocking, but it was still neat to see that no, there's actually a valid argument for it. The other thing was the the way the taxi service is operating, it's very efficient and very effective at what it does. The issue is that there are certain peaks in the day that require more more service, and so adding more manpower, adding more taxis actually might solve a lot of the concerns that were being brought forward. But again, those are conversations that we're going to have to digest a little bit more. And what I will say is that any change in service is going to come at a greater cost, and it will depend on. Right now, our shared ride taxi service is primarily funded through federal and state dollars, 90%. And so, to give you context, it's $1 million operation, right? Like, it's a lot of money. And the city's investment is fairly minimal, about $100,000 annually. And then, you have a certain aspect of the actual fees generated, but the fees really don't cover the cost of the service. A lot of it is through federal and state dollars. And so being aware of that helps kind of guide decisions. And it's not, I always want to caution people to it's easy to jump to conclusions, but our best intentions, our intentions is we serve the people of Beaver Dam, and we want everyone to be able to get from one place to another.
And you mentioned the first meeting from the council in July is where this report will be presented and reviewed and
yeah, we'll have kind of the final draft of the report will be in the hands of the council, and then but the majority of the presentation is going to be spent on the recommendations that are coming forward from SRF.
And I'm sure this will be an ongoing discussion topic for the council for the next couple of weeks, months. I'm sure this isn't something they're going to get the report and all right, tonight we're going to come with
a decision.
Yeah, this is an ongoing.
It's been my experience that the council likes to be like they want to be intentional. Yeah, they want to digest. They want to be deliberate with their decisions, and so usually we take time because it impacts a lot of people, right? Yeah. So
another component of that was we talk about comprehensive plan, developing what's needed in the community and growing that, a community action plan, something that you started, Nathan, here a couple of months ago that has been meeting. Was it once a week, once every couple of weeks, I believe now for the last several months?
So that project has come to kind of they crossed the finish line. Mm-hmm. They had their presentation back in May, so a month ago. And they did a great job. I'm so proud of our community volunteers that participated, and they really dedicated a lot of time. I estimate over 1,000 hours of time that was dedicated towards this project, and so I'm appreciative. In fact, tonight we're going to be recognizing members from this committee. They're going to be coming, and we have a small plaque, if you will, to recognize them and thank them. What came of that? So where do we go from here? They presented basically 70 different projects or action items that they would recommend moving forward. I spent some time with a few of their members, basically kind of reviewing all of those items and kind of categorizing them. So what's something that can be happen in the short term? What's more of a midterm, 3 to 5 years? What's long term? Something that's going to take maybe 10 years, a decade to get done. We also tried to assign, what type of resources are going to be necessary to make any of those items take place. And so we tried to compile that, make it digestible. So there were 70, pretty evenly split between, short-term, midterm, and long-term goals. And then I had them, we talked and tried to prioritize. We tried to pick kind of the top 5 areas that we would focus on and recommend to council. So we've provided that to council tonight. It's going to be mostly recognition this evening. But the next steps are moving and integrating their hometown plan into our comprehensive plan update.
Yeah, so maybe you mentioned this comprehensive plan update. Now, is that something that is formulated by the council, yourself as a city administrator, as city leaders? How does that process begin and develop?
Yeah, so the comprehensive plan typically is a process that we use our planning commission. So every community has a certain number of individuals who serve on a plan commission that review development, consider economic development, consider kind of the next steps of the community. So the comprehensive plan update, we hired another consultant to kind of review the past plan, update kind of all the statistical information and kind of background information in the old plan. And we're going to, over the next several months, be reviewing that plan with our plan commission. So there are a total of, I think there are like 10 chapters. So we'll review 3 chapters a month with the plan commission. We're going to go over kind of what were the goals and the projects that were in the past plan. What did we actually do? What are we working on? What needs to get done yet? Kind of reevaluate, reassess those projects. And then we're going to dovetail. We're going to look at the community action plan, their hometown plan, and figure out, okay, where does everything kind of shake out?
Sure. They're kind of trying to weave the 2 plans into one.
Yeah.
Complete.
So there's a lot of stuff that was in the old comprehensive plan that's probably obsolete. There's a lot of repeat. There's a lot of layered stuff, right, of what was being presented by the hometown that merges perfectly. So what was important yesterday is still important today. And then there's some new ideas, right? There's some new thoughts that we need to evaluate and bring in. So the Plan Commission is going to review that, kind of help us critique it. And then at the end of that, then we'll bring to council, and the council will finally adopt it.
All right. Now, is there a window or a deadline when that comprehensive plan, you hope to have that done, or is that something that just when it's done, it's done?
Yeah. Our hope is we're planning on working on that through, I think, October is kind of our schedule when we're hoping to have that brought to council. But again, there isn't a rush. Yeah. This is a plan that was created and it's waited 15 years to be updated. But the purpose of planning, every plan, the intent is to refresh ideas and refresh on our direction and making sure that we're aligned, like we're going where we want to be.
I guess essentially the comprehensive plan guides 15, 20, 25 years out is kind of the hope. I mean, obviously things change and plans don't always go the way you hope they go, but that's sort of the thought process, is that it sort of sets that roadmap for that time period, so you kind of know what to prioritize.
Yeah, at one point in time, state statute required us to update the comprehensive plan every decade. That was seen as kind of a burden, and so since then it's changed a bit. But generally speaking, if you got the staff to do it, we updated our park plan, right? Which is kind of a piece or portion of the comprehensive plan. We do that every 5 years. And really, the benefit of the comp plan, the purpose really, is it sets us up for grants. State programs are asking, hey, is this a part of a planning process? Did you get community buy-in? And so never underestimate the power of a plan unless you don't use it. If you don't use it, then it's a waste of time.
Yeah. Quickly going back to the community action plan, is that full report, is that available online for people to look through and kind of see the 70 or some projects that you had mentioned that are recommended from this committee? Is that somewhere online people can read?
Yeah. So what is online is we have the QR codes to the presentation. So we have actually, if you go to our YouTube channel, you can watch their presentation. But the 70 recommendations, I just finished that on Friday. I don't have it online yet,
Okay.
But it will be.
At some point it will be
Yes,
online.
it should be online.
Fantastic. Again, we're chatting with Beaver
So
Dam.
thank you for the reminder.
Yes, my job. That's what I'm here for. We're again chatting with Beaver Dam City Administrator Nathan Thiel. We just have a few minutes left here on community comment. I want to take that time to highlight a very popular summer activity here that's returned here in Beaver Dam. Unfortunately, the first event could not be held in its original destination here at Swamp Park because of severe weather, but the Beaver Dam Community Band's summer concert series is now back here. It's held Wednesday nights, I believe, correct? And it's every month. Is it every couple? I cannot remember the time.
It's every week.
Every week.
So there will be park activities or rec activities starting at 6:30 to 8:30. So they usually have yard games and things of that nature. It's free to the community, but then the actual music in the park starts at 7:30. And so this week, June 19th, the Elwood Lee Trio is going to be there. The next week will be, again, the Beaver Dam Community Band. And so, yeah, all throughout the summer, I am impressed with how much Beaver Dam loves music,
they love music.
Which is awesome. And you should also be aware that there is Jam by the Dam, too, as well, which is on Friday nights. There's 3 of those, once a month. And for more information, visit our Facebook page, go online. The information is there. But it's exciting times because that band shell, if you've been there, the seating is not very comfortable. And I'm told that every single time. And so we're working. There's a Swamp Park Advisory Committee. Jerry Anderson is our honorary chair. They've been working to fundraise for the replacement of those seats, and so that's also actively going. And so anyway, it's fun.
Which is great. Is there, I believe a press release went out a little while ago. Was there a set goal or a mark hoping to achieve in order to make that project happen?
Yeah, so the project as a whole is much larger. It's probably going to be closer to 1.5, almost $2 million. We've got grant monies. We've also have past fundraised dollars, especially for a pathway, that are committed to that project. But the goal that the advisory committee is attempting is $500,000. We also have some grant applications that are out there. If there's anyone interested in having recognition or participating in that fundraising, please visit our website. Feel free to contact me or members of our advisory committee, Tom Heffron, Patrick Lutz, Jerry Anderson. This is an asset to the community that has just been marvelous. It's a really wonderful feature to both Swan Park and also to Beaver Dam.
And it's a small component of a much larger scale project that's been going on at Swamp Park to revitalize that space and update like the retaining walls, the lagoon, the spring. I know there's a project to fundraise to update and repair the spring house in Swamp Park. So a lot of work's going into upgrade that park.
In total, we've probably spent to date about 3.5 on that park, but it's been great. Like I was down there just yesterday walking and seeing the use in the park, and it really is a wonderful community feature.
Yeah, and on that note, I want to thank our guest here on Community Comment this afternoon. Again, we are joined with Beaver Dam City Administrator Nathan Thiel. Nathan, thank you again so much for coming in today.
Always a pleasure. Thank you, Kevin.
And that will do it for today's Community Comment.